For a man who knows if it's two down linemen, that doesn't necessarily mean it's two down linemen.
That's right.
Those linebackers are defensive ends, damn it. And he knows it because he carries the G.
Ladies and gentlemen, Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV.
I'm proud of my ignorance. I call it two down linemen. Screw that, man. You want to talk about people being ignorant, invite them in and let them know about your process. But, there are plenty of football people in the world who will categorize those outside guys as outside linebackers. Like that's some real splitting of the hairs right there. That's from LaFleur.
I always call that friends through semantics. Let's go.
Whole lot of that.
Are they edge rushers? Are they outside linebackers or are they linemen? Well,
depends on what you're asking them. Depends on what you're asking them to do. Yeah, I mean, I get it. I understand it. The fact of the matter is they weren't good enough yesterday. I mean, it doesn't matter what you call them. Bananas for all I care. Like, it doesn't matter.
So, Nags, as a passionate carrier of the G, I imagine your view of yesterday's game was like my view of the Badgers when they lost to Ohio State. They played pretty well. They didn't get blown out. They had a bunch of injuries. They overcame some stuff. I thought it was something to build on. I left the Packers game yesterday feeling the same way. That wasn't horrible. Yes, they could have, and probably should have won. But I saw a lot, and I saw Jordan Love play what might have been his best game as a starter.
There's some truth to that. I said to my buddy last night, like, you've never heard someone say there are no moral victories, but without the, words afterwards being all about moral victories. But that said, I mean, you were proud of the effort and you were proud of some of the stuff that Jordan put together, some of the offensive guys. I thought Jaden Reed had a hell of a game and he's really starting to come into his own.
Who said on Friday that he's going to be the guy?
KB. That was you.
Yes.
KB.
I think he was ready for it. I think he's going to end up being the star of the team.
I mean, he's well on his way. I'll tell you that.
But the receiving core, rather. I mean,
you also. What's frustrating for me as a Packers fan is, so we understand what this year is. It's about evaluation and it's about growth and development. And I understand that. What is the purpose? To grow into a team that will be contenders, right? That's the idea. No one thinks that's happening in 2023. Maybe. I mean, maybe in 2024, and that's still probably a stretch, right? So we're looking at probably 2 years of growth, evaluation, development. To what end? So that Joe Barry can play two high safeties right out of the gate against a quarterback that hasn't been able to hit the broadside of a barn all season long. And by the way, this is an ongoing theme. Go back to week 2 against a quarterback who eventually got benched by the fact that he ended up facing actual NFL defenses that are coordinated by experts, where I just don't understand the approach of, okay, this is an offense that clearly struggles, that cannot move the football through the air. They know they want to run the ball, and we've got our safeties lined up in the river. Like, I just don't understand the approach. So all this growth and development, and we're going to have these guys ready in a couple of years to contend with this coaching staff, with this approach on defense. Let's get serious. Like, there's no way you can sit there and tell me that this is what we're heading for.
If you listen to the first part of the presser with Coach LaFleur, all the stuff that he said was going bad. It was all an indictment of Joe Barry's defense, one after the other.
Well, no, because then there's always the coach speak up, just you got to execute. Like, we'll put you in you got to execute. Well, and that's what I think is really driving the response about the outside backers being actually defensive ends. It's like, okay, fine, but you're still allowing those two linemen in the interior, God forbid you call them two down linemen, the two interior guys to get double teamed snap after snap after snap. And I understand, like, yes, you've got to make a play, quote unquote. But man, it makes it real difficult if the linebacker sees those guys getting blocked in front of him, is, I guess, supposed to get in a gap or guess a gap or see where the back goes. But by the time the back is hitting the second level, he's off to the races. And by the way, you better choose the right gap or you're done. Like, it just kills me to watch that happen.
Pickett look like again. Well, they made Pickett look like Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson. Yeah. How many times did he wiggle out of stuff when you thought he was dead to rights?
I mean, and look, they're paid too. They're going to make plays. I understand it. Like, part of it is you got to live with the fact that the other team will make some plays. but you don't want to make it easy for them, and you don't want to play into their hands. And way more often than not, that seems to be what this defense does, and it's just frustrating.
And that's the side of the ball that we were counting on. We knew the offense would be a work in progress for much of the year.
Some of us were. There were some of us who were like, I don't believe it
Well,
when I see it.
All right. So today, November 13th, we celebrate the odd couple on the Drew and KB program. On November 13th, Felix Unger was asked to remove himself from his place of residence.
That request came from his wife.
So who would you hand the first frying pan to, Nags? Joe Barry or Josiah DeGuara?
Oh, Josiah DeGuara. Man, I had that Office Space reaction yesterday. What would you say you do here? I mean, it's not catching passes. It's not blocking. It's not blocking on PATs. What is he doing? Why is he on the team?
If he wasn't drafted where he was, would he still be getting a check?
No chance. And here's the thing. I don't like to bash guys. You guys know it's not my thing, but man, what's the definition of insanity? Sending Josiah DeGuara out there to do anything over and over and over again. I just
not since Amari Rodgers have we been this frustrated at their insistence on trying to get something out of this guy.
He almost looked like a T-ball player who was playing with the dirt as a ground ball rolled by him.
Wow. Wow. You know what? I can't even push back on that because
I'm right.
Correct. Well, that's exactly what it looked like.
But
it's 100% what it looked like.
There's something there though, because his stance and approach of the other guy on the other end, I think it was Musgrave, was very similar. Like just kind of a late rising from the at the snap, and it was like,
is this
he didn't have anybody rushing his end.
Are we playing? Is this does this one count?
What,
I don't know. I just
that
don't
was
know.
And that ends up being like a inflection point of the game.
I hate this because I very much, like I said, I understand the vision. I get where we're trying to develop, we're growing. It's a big change for the post-Rodgers era. I understand it. And there are lots of really good things to take away from that game, especially when it comes to the quarterback, especially when it comes to the wide receivers and the growth and development on offense. Hell, they hit the tight end down the seam, something they've been trying to do since the summer. They finally hit it. Now, I'd like the tight end to be able to keep his legs, but one thing at a time, I guess. I'll take these little victories where I can. So I'm trying to glom onto that part of it and not get too sucked into the doom and gloom.
We are talking with Aaron Nagler of Cheesehead TV, and his weekly visits, twice weekly visits with us, are presented by Miller Lite Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference in Rodgers' behavioral health. Nags, Christian Watson's going through it, and I've watched that tipped interception, the play by Patrick Peterson 10 times. On what planet was that Christian Watson's fault?
No way.
That was not a contested catch that he should have come back for. That was not in any way his fault.
No, look,
and yet people are now in a mode where everybody's ripping him all the time.
Yeah, well, it's the frustration, right? Especially given what we saw last year and the promise and the upside there. He can do it. We've seen it done multiple times. So when things like that happen, I understand the frustration. I talked to Andy Herman a little bit ago on one of our shows at Cheesehead TV, and he put it perfectly. He's like, if he's having even like a regular year up to this point, let alone the season he had last year, like yesterday, we're not even talking about him or that play in any meaningful way, right? Like it happened, it's unfortunate, and you move on. But because there's so much angst and frustration about the lack of production around Watson this season, like I think fans are going a lot overboard on Watson. And look, could he have maybe possibly made a better play on the ball? Yeah, I think so. But I also think, again, the defense gets paid. That's a great play by the defense. Sometimes you just tip your cap. Also, you'd probably tell Jordan Love, let's try not fitting that in there against a too high safety look. Like there's a lot of levels to this. But yeah, Christian Watson is way down on the list on that play in particular. And I think eventually he's going to find his footing. He's going to get in rhythm. It maybe happens, say, the last month of the season, right? And then we get into next year. Hopefully, comes out the gate. Hopefully, is able to stay on the field early in the season and get into that rhythm. Because, look, he missed a lot of time early this season. He's been having issues trying to kind of, I guess, get ingrained inside this offense as it's operating right now. That doesn't mean it's over. Doesn't mean he's a bum, he's a bust, whatever. The history of the Green Bay Packers is replete with pass catchers who were frustrating in multiple ways
Yes.
early on in their careers who became really good, if not
Yep.
great football players.
Devontae, Greg Jennings,
James
absolutely.
Jones, like the list is
James
long.
Jones,
Jordan Nelson
we
dropped
were
a ton of
frustrated with
balls early in
all
his
of
career.
them at certain points.
100%.
Yes. Okay, but
100%.
Nags, to the point of the offense, Pittsburgh has a good defense, right? It's a solid. That's a solid outfit.
Decent a defense that creates lots of turnovers. They're good at that, no doubt.
They are good at that. And the Packers are not, which is another part of the Joe Barry discussion.
Very
but
much so.
the Packers seem to be more creative than they have been in recent weeks, like in terms of bunch sets and stuff like that. And just, I don't want to say trickery and things, but it looked a little different than it did the boilerplate offense that we've seen in the last couple of weeks. It did look a little different to me. Was my logic flawed? Am I delusional?
No, I don't think at all. And I think they're doing a nice job of mixing up a lot of different stuff with the two backs, which I think they've found a good way of working with both of them now. And it was nice to see AJ get on track again and run with real purpose and determination and strength.
And to see him high step and to see Aaron Nagler high step.
The high step was amazing. The high step was incredible. I get geeked out about that kind of stuff. Like I said, it's the little things, man. It's the little things. I get excited about it.
I know you're such a football nerd, but to see him
I am a nerd. I can't help it. But watching AJ high step was just awesome. But like this, and this is to your question. Like, there's lots of different playing off of not just getting in shotgun and going spread, but you're also getting under center. You're doing lots of motion. You're doing play action stuff. You're doing rollouts. Like, I think Matt's done a really nice job of kind of evolving as the year goes on. And don't get it twisted. I think they were doing some of this stuff earlier in the year, but I think you're finding a way of working with a lot of young, disparate talent where you're just trying to figure out who can do what, who's good at what, and they're starting to unlock some of that.
Okay, they're starting to get it, and then I think it was one of the things that our pal Jason Wilde asked was like Wicks, and they're starting to find seams, and like part of that is a function of the receivers getting to know where they're supposed to do, right? What they're supposed to do,
what their depth should be, where they're supposed to make that break, like that play where Wicks is screaming wide open. That's the kind of stuff we saw earlier in the year where the receiver's running it right into coverage rather than, okay, here's where the defense is dropping. I'm making sure I'm getting past depth and getting open in space against the zone.
But to the point where KB is lauding Jaden Reed, and I am as well, but that flutter ball wing and a prayer that Jaden Reed caught, that was in no way like a great, well designed. That was just a stroke of luck, wasn't it? To me, it was like he threw it up.
No, I'm not sure I agree with you there. I don't know. I'm sure I agree with you there. I think if you watch Jordan in the pocket on that play, he's waiting for that crosser to develop. I don't know, man. I don't know. That'd be a good one to ask Jordan on the at the locker on Wednesday.
That was a flutter ball, man. That was like it was anybody's ball.
You know what, Nags? I'm going to give you one to. I'm going to give you one to chew.
All right.
I'm going to give you one to chew on. We'll revisit on Friday when we talk to you. Is Christian Watson tough enough? So there we go. Think about it.
He's tough enough, but he's got to toughen up. How's that?
Okay.
Yeah, you'd like to see more in that regard.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, he's got to bring it. And I'm not just talking about going up and getting 50-50 balls, of which we've seen him do it. We saw it last week against the Rams. Like, he can do that. I'm not concerned about that. But, man, there's more to the game than just going up and getting 50-50 balls, especially on a team. How many times have we heard Matt LaFleur talk about the perimeter blocking in the run game as a wide receiver and how important that is? Well, you gotta get out there and you gotta do it, man. Down after down, you gotta show that you're willing, not only willing, but able to do that. And I think there are times where that effort is 50-50. That effort is coming and going, and it cannot be for a guy who they want to play. They want him on the field for his athletic ability, for his home run ability. Well, okay, but there are plays that aren't going to come to you. You got to go all out and you got to own that aspect of the game, which he just isn't right now.
Nags, would Zach Tom figure in your game MVP? We're doing game balls and kicks to the balls behind this.
Oh, 100%. 100%. The way he handled TJ Watt. I mean, Watt got his wins at times, which he's going to do. But yeah, Zach Tom played a hell of a game.
Pretty good.
I'll say the whole offensive line, I was shocked how well they held up for the most part when it came to, basically giving Jordan Love time. There were multiple plays in that game where Jordan went through progression 1, 2, 3. I could maybe hit my check down. No, wait, I got more time. I'm going to find another. Like, that was impressive. That was against the front, which has gotten after the quarterback a lot this year. I was pleasantly surprised by the work the offensive line did.
Definitely heartening. Nags, have a great week. We will follow you at cheeseheadtv.com and on the socials, and we'll talk to you on Friday.
Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you Friday. Go